At Shehzadee Law Corporation, you're more than a case. You are a priority. From family law to corporate matters, get legal solutions that work for you.
You're listening to the Bubble Clan podcast.
Yeah, selamat datang semua. Apa khabar? Anda bersama saya Ahmad dan juga
dan saya Aci. Salam hadir korang.
Dan kami dari The Bubble Clan. Apa khabar? Apa khabar Kak Aci?
Wow, khabar baik. Aku rasa aku dah naik weight sikit lepas raya ni.
Aku tengok tadi jaket kau pun senak.
Jangan dicakap.
Okay guys, welcome to the show. Seperti biasa, kita cuba tak menghampakan korang penonton-penonton kami di Bubble Clan Podcast. Jadi malam ini kita akan bawakan seorang lagi tetamu yang khas istimewa.
Wow, siapakah gerangan beliau?
Okay Cik.
Yeah.
Kau introduce.
Okay.
Kau tahu asal tak?
Kenapa?
Aku takut.
Kau takut? Jangan takut, Mat. Aku ada.
Silakan Cik, siapa yang kita bawakan ke dalam studio?
Okey, kita akan kita bawa ke dalam studio kita adalah sebuah lawyer wanita.
Bukan sebuah.
Seorang.
Dengar tu, kita dah diperbaiki oleh seorang lawyer. Salah check out. Okay guys, kita bersama dengan Shez dari Shehzadee Lawyer, Crime Lawyer Singapore Law Firm Corporation. Betul tak?
Betul.
Okay, welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Wow. Kau terus gagau
Aku
kena dengan lawyer
sikit.
Okay, welcome to the studio. Macam mana? How's your raya and everything?
Good.
Okay, kita came across lah. Kita tengok your Instagram, your TikTok kan. So basically kita tahu yang you bukan sahaja lawyer untuk macam orang kata tu kebanyakannya lah orang Melayu kita ni relate lawyer tu dengan
Syariah.
Penceraian syariah kan.
That's
So
right.
you do everything kan.
Yes.
Jadi salam kenal dari kami The Bubble Clan. And also pada malam ini kita nak tahu lebih tentang your pekerjaan, siapakah diri kamu, Shez, and about your company. Jadi boleh terangkan kepada kami.
Okay, so I'm Shehzadee. I'm running my own practice, Shehzadee Law Corporation. It's been 3 years now of running my own firm. This is my 11th year as a practicing lawyer. And quite long actually.
Wow.
You don't realize it, time just flies, and then you realize it actually more than 5 years, more than 10 years, now more than 11 years.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do practice a range of practice areas as you have shared, like criminal law, civil would be like things like breach of contracts. So we do act for businesses as well, not just persons. And it doesn't always have to be things which are litigious. That means like you go to court and fight.
Okay.
We also do drafting of just normal contracts, agreements for businesses. We do things like drafting of wills, drafting of lasting powers of attorney, those kind of things. So like when people think of lawyers, they always think like, oh, I go to this lawyer, there must be a problem somewhere. There must be, somebody divorced or somebody is somebody has passed away or something bad has happened. But it's not necessarily the case. People come to us, to do wills. I mean, wills for Muslims is a sunnah, right?
Correct. Yeah. Selalunya kita relate benda gini tau. Macam kita dapat surat lawyer je dah habis satu family. Surat lawyer? Surat lawyer? Kecoh. Padahal tak tahu yang bapak dia nak bagi harta.
Betul?
You know all these kind of things.
Yeah.
Sometimes kita kurang kita tak dapat lebih pendidikan dalam bidang ni.
Macam daunting lah. People find it daunting.
Correct. So it's good that you are here to explain things yang kalau kita dapat surat lawyer ni kita just check it out dulu untuk apa, kepada siapa, pasal all those things yang you said tadi tu ada kena-mengena dengan kehidupan kita hari-hari, harian kita.
That's right. So actually people always think that you go to lawyers when a certain event happens, but it's not always the case. It can be for your day-to-day. That's why like for businesses and all, like you want to draft contracts with, for example, suppliers. That's a day-to-day. You want to do a contract for your employees, employment contract. That's also a day-to-day thing.
Cik, kan kita pun aku rasa we need this episode. Pasal in the future, I mean kita have plans and all that, to maybe open up businesses and all that. Betul. Jadi Cik, why not kita tanyakan Shez, kalau kita ni a startup company lah, business lah, a small business company kita nak start up, let's say home base. Okay, is there any need for us to go to a lawyer to to legalize ke, or is there any steps yang proper in Singapore ni untuk kita buka home base dekat rumah lah?
For home base, that means it's at home. Actually, it's supposed to be very, very small lah. The idea is that it's small enough that you can operate from home, right? So for that, you don't really need to comply with like it's not like other businesses. Okay, other businesses. Let's just touch on the other businesses first.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's say you want to you have a physical space outside, right? And so the first thing you need to think is the type of business structure you want. Whether it's things like sole proprietorship, limited liability partnership, your LLC, different types of structure. And what's the difference? If you open up a sole proprietorship, that's considered the easiest way. Very little regulations as compared to the rest. The incorporated companies is very, you don't have to have such strict accounting and all that. And for a sole proprietorship, for example, let's say I open up Shehzadee and Associates, example.
Okay.
If I open up as a sole proprietorship, this means that whatever belongs to my entity, my sole proprietorship belongs to me. Okay. So if somebody wants to, example, let's say I have my own, I have the entity's account, okay, like bank account. Let's say a supplier comes after, or let's say landlord lah, never pay rental, comes after that account. That person can also come after me personally, my own personal, say POSB account. Right?
Okay.
Because in the eyes of the law, I and the sole proprietorship is the same. We are the same entity.
Okay. Okay.
So there's no separation. And that means that if I pass away, that's it. The business just
Habis lah.
finish lah, because it's considered me as well.
Itu ada sole proprietor kan?
Yes. Okay. Some people like it because it's easier lah. You don't have to. That you don't have to have. You are not so accountable. There's no strict regulations when it comes to regulatory things and all that. Is easier, but it's also more. It affords less protection to you personally. So let's say people can come after you and you can be bankrupt personally also. It's as compared to say you have a limited liability partnership, right? So you and that partnership, you are separate identities in law, right? Who you are as a person is different. So if I have Shehzadee and Partners, LLP, right? If let's say I myself Shehzadee, I don't pay my own handphone bill. Okay, example. Nanti 1 year lah, tak payah lah example Okay.
Wow, lama.
It's different. I'm a different person in the eyes of the law from this LLP, right? So that's one of the things. So number one, the things that businesses, when you want to start out a businesses, I'm not talking about home base, like outside.
Okay.
The first thing you need to think about is the business structure. And you can change the business structures along the way. So say I want to start out, okay lah, very small lah. I start out as a sole proprietorship. Later on, I can change the structure to become a limited liability entity. Also can.
Itu dia. Pasal apa for this all this registration kan, bila kita pergi dekat apa nama website dia tu? Akra.
Yes.
Kita pening pasal kalau kita tak pasang siapa, kita tak engage someone to do it. Kalau first timer, sekali tengok ni apa benda dia berbual ni.
Yes,
betul juga kan. Pasal lagi satu apa tau, macam tadi dia cakap tu very clear dengan analogy of things because kalau aku nak buat company, aku kadang terfikir apa aku punya liability sebenarnya.
Yes, correct.
It is the confusion part tau.
Yes, it's always you need to be clear on the liability as well. So that's one. And then in terms of the internal structure as well. So let's say you want to have an incorporated company, and then who are going to be the directors of the company? Sometimes it's like you want to have a family business, and I do see it a lot. Okay. You just want to register more people as the director, but actually, in actual fact, only one of them is the actual director. Dia register mak dia lah, bapak dia lah, this and that, right?
Boleh is it?
You can, but then under the law, it means that they have certain obligations under the law as a director. So if somebody asks you, I just put your name, be aware what you're getting yourself into, because as a director, there are also obligations to the company as well.
Okay, bagi satu example in terms of apa. Let's say macam kalau company dia macam orang bawa duit lari ke apa, in one of the company dia punya kira vice president ke apa bawa lari duit, so director dia yang kena, something like that, is it?
Correct. Because all of them are supposed to be in the know.
Okay.
Maaf
It's okay, yeah. It's okay.
It's okay, no problem.
Minum dulu. It's okay. Guys kan, hari ni kita berbual serius sikit kan.
Wow.
It's good actually kita learn as we go along pasal business ni kat Singapore ni. Banyak kita kadang-kadang dengar tiba-tiba member aku yang lama aku tak jumpa dah buka business. Aku jumpa yang ni dah buka business. But we don't know if it's register ke tak, whether sekarang ni dekat Singapore kita harus register ke tak. So kita kena tanyalah. Right. And for Singapore context registration it is a must kan untuk businesses.
Yeah, you should register your business.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the proper, just like how you have the NRIC, right? The business also needs the NRIC.
Okay.
You also need the entity number lah.
Yep.
Okay, so that's one as to the structure. The second thing I think businesses should know when you start out. You cannot say, I don't know. Like for example, my business is in providing a certain service. Let's say it's wedding services or something like that. Okay. You cannot say that my focus is just on managing the wedding services. If you are starting a company, you need to know at least the basic laws, or you need to know where to look at or who to ask, right? So basic things like the Employment Act, you need to know the basic rules and basic things that you should steer clear of. So like not to have unauthorized deductions. Those are in the Employment Act. Like you cannot just suka-suka, you get angry with your staff. I deduct, I cut. There's a list of what constitutes authorized deductions and what the rest would be unauthorized lah. So you cannot do that. Payment of salary has to be on time.
Okay.
So if you don't do that, there would be consequences as well in the law.
Wow, kira dia ada not just about the corporate side, tapi dia ada plus also like Employment Act. Ada.
Correct. There's Employment Act. Then there's the Foreign Manpower Act, EFMA, and those are things like I as a criminal lawyer, I have represented number of employers who don't pay CPF, who hire phantom workers. They call it phantom workers. Okay. So basically, for example, they will get they cannot meet the quota for some reason. Okay, whether for foreign workers or whoever, they cannot fill the quota. They get another company to register that they are employing it, but then they are the ones paying. They have an arrangement internally.
Wow.
It happens.
Okay.
Somebody, pauto, all kena.
Alamak.
Yes. Okay, so these are things that I think employers should be very, very aware of. So you should know that there are basic pieces of legislation, law pertaining to employment, and just be aware of that. So these are some of the things. Not to say that, you should be so daunted and so deterred from opening up your own business. It's not. But it's just that you have to be aware lah, regulations, CPF.
Yeah.
When I started up my own firm, I actually registered for certain courses with CPF board. I already know already. I just sit down and I just watch just to be clear and just re-educate myself all over again.
Okay.
And I think that's something you can do lah.
Betul.
Wow.
Yeah. Educate Wow.
Yeah, I think have to lah. Kalau seseorang tu betul serious in what he or she is doing, you need to, even though you know the things, you still need to sit down. Orang lebih pakar tengah berbual, even though kita dengan experience, tapi they have papers. So kita dengar apa yang diorang nak berbualkan, and they are pro in what they are doing kan. Yeah. And okay, just now we're talking about businesses, tapi what you said tadi tu pasal employment tu, it's a big case lah but kalau benda tu terjadi kan. The one you said about yang company tu registerkan, lepas tu dia bayar, company lain bayar gaji employee.
Yes,
kan?
yes, correct.
Okay, how about the reverse thing? Does it happen? Let's say macam employer kirakan yang ambil employee naik lori, kira pagi angkat 2-3 orang kat situ, okay, kau ikut aku kerja. This type of thing in a company, boleh tak? Legal tak?
As in, what do you mean?
Okay,
As in, they
say-
are not officially listed as the company's employees lah, but they just say, you cannot lah.
Okay, so ada tak pernah terjadi benda-benda gini? And
As in, what, not specifically there, but what I have seen many times are actually employers either not paying salary, not paying CPF. CPF is a very, very common
Okay.
thing lah. And then in terms of the hiring of the workers.
It's more to the hiring,
Because you are why is it an offense? Because you are actually making a false declaration. You know, when you apply for workers and all that, right? You're actually submitting to the commissioner, you are submitting a declaration saying that, okay, this person is working for me.
Yeah.
Meaning you are actually making a false declaration, and the person who pakat with you is abetting the making of that false declaration.
Dua-dua kena lah.
Dua semua kena. And I've seen cases where how did all this unfold? It could be between these two parties, they fight with each other.
Yes, sir.
Or it could be the employee complain to somebody for some reason. Maybe the employee not even really didn't fully grasp this internal arrangement, right?
Yeah.
But maybe dissatisfied with one of the official or employer, and then complain to somebody, then it unravels. When this thing unravels, then all kena lah.
Even like macam whistleblower. Is
Yeah.
it possible also, right?
Possible.
Kira orang dalaman pautu sendiri whistleblower.
Yeah. And so for yourself, benda gini terjadi, and then they actually hired you to help them in terms of
Yes.
legally.
Illegally, yes.
So how do you do it? How do you break down to them? Do you say to them that these are the things which you have done wrongly? You said that to Zack, so you shouldn't be doing this and all that. So pasal kita punya mindset ni correct me if I'm wrong selalunya kita kalau dah buat satu kesalahan ni, we hire a lawyer to make sure yang apa yang kita akan disabitkan tu akan berkurangan, ataupun there's a fighting case whereby kita tak akan kena jail term, kita akan kena saman. Correct?
So when we represent somebody for criminal matters, it could be that the person claims that he or she has not committed the offense. Then if the person wants to claim trial, means fight it out, we will do that. But if the person has done it, it still doesn't mean that he or she doesn't require legal representation, because there are things that we can do. For example, let's say I say that I have illegally employed, I'm being charged for illegally employing somebody for a specified duration. So the client come to me and say that, oh yeah, actually I got to do this lah. This is wrong, right? I just plead guilty. Then I say, okay, wait. Okay, before you plead guilty, let's look at the charge sheet. And then we look at the charge sheet. Actually, what's the duration of the illegal employment, right? Then it turns out that actually, let's say the charge, this is hypothetical. I'm just giving an example.
Okay, yeah.
Something like this, but the number of days all will differ lah. So let's say the charge says you have illegally employed this person for 100 days, right? But actually it transpires that you have illegally employed for 30 days, right? So wouldn't that be something that, yes, you have committed the offense, but what is the extent of it? Correct. So as lawyers, I mean, as laypersons, I don't expect them to know. When you get caught, then you gabra already, then like, actually I did that. But then, when you have a lawyer, the lawyer will look at it, look at the charge sheet and see, okay, even if you've done a mistake, is the level of it, is it as severe as you are being charged for? Is there a way we can kind of reduce your sentence? Or so we do. I mean, so back to what I was saying, one is claim trial, the other one is to mitigate your sentence for you lah. But of course, mitigate, it has to be with basis. We don't just like, let's say you have illegally employed so many workers for years and years, and then you come to me and you just say, oh, submit for fine. It may be a bit difficult. I can't just pluck these figures out from the air and just submit to court. It has to be with basis. It has to be based on precedents, legal precedents and all that.
Jalan lah. Kira ada practical part of it lah.
Yes.
Kalau pun betul juga Kau dah buat gini, patut kau minta fine.
I mean, tak semua orang gitu, tapi mesti ada orang juga gitu.
No, I mean, it's not to say a fine is impossible. It's just that you have to look at the circumstances as well, the length of the offending, the severity, how many people are involved, those kind of thing.
Ya, pasal benda-benda gini kalau kita kena pun, kita tengah gabra, kita takkan kira pun aku dah berapa 3 hari 4 jam aku ada employ dia ni. Kita takkan fikir gitu. So that is where we need people like Shez, lawyer, to represent us, untuk kita kita boleh sebentar tu kita ada that peace of mind yang kita perlukan lah, where we let the lawyers handle our legal stuff semua kan. Betul tak, Cik?
Betul. Okay, actually I have one question tengah dalam kepala otak. Because okay lah, because ni kita ada angan-angan lah. Aku ada angan-angan nak buka company lah kan.
Dia nak buka company kan.
Buka je company. Okay, actually I was thinking because I was doing content ni semua tau. So kadang-kadang macam sekarang I will see kan banyak kan online, people review, and then kadang-kadang sampai they do something or they say something not nice for towards a company lah, I would say okay, kalau let's say in terms of business, sometimes your business also people attack you with I don't know what's the ground lah okay, is there any way that a company is protected if there are something like this is against the company?
Okay, so I think most of you would be familiar with the term defamation, right? Yeah, defamation, when somebody defames you, and then it depends on whether there's malicious intent or not. I will not go into like what's the type of defenses and all that lah, because it will bore you all lah. But suffice to say, this is a step. But when under the rules, when you want to sue somebody for defamation, you need to send them a letter of demand before that. There's actually a pre-action protocol.
Okay.
I mean, why is there a pre-action protocol? Probably because people are using online, social media all the time lah. If there's no pre-action protocol, then I suppose the courts will be flooded with defamation suits, right?
Betul.
But so what does this pre-action protocol entail? Actually, you have to send them a letter of demand first, and then tell them, okay, what is defamatory? What do you say was defamatory? Why is defamatory? And what are your demands? So, for example, okay, you want them to compensate you, or you want them to remove the defamatory comment, or you want them to publish an apology or an undertaking not to say these kind of things. There are demands that you can make. Of course, and then you can also propose that some sort of mediation between parties. So if you can settle it, then you settle it lah. Then you don't have to go further. But only if like you find that whatever that person has said has been unfair, is untrue, and it's very damaging to you, then you might want to proceed. But I have clients coming to me for defamation also. They say when somebody makes a nasty review or a nasty comment and things which really hurt their business, like at least for a short period following that incident, right?
Okay.
And I do always advise them. I say, okay, this is what you can do in terms of defamation. Here are the steps. Here's what you can do.
Okay.
But I do advise them also practically speaking. I say, look, when you send out a letter of demand, it's a double-edged sword. Okay, because you can either choose to let it die down, or you can pursue it. But if you pursue it, it could make it worse for you. So you need to think whether or not, practically speaking, it's something that's good for you lah. I mean, commercially, I as a lawyer, I can advise you, right? I can advise you the legal steps, but you need to think yourself, like, is it better for it to just die down? And you know what? Nowadays, social media, sekejap je. People say something, say a few days, people forget. People don't, not just they forget, they don't care. They go on to the next thing already.
True,
so do you want to keep bringing it out? Is that something you think is worth? But of course, there are instances where, especially if there's repeated comments made by a particular person, or, which continue to be damaging. Like if you keep, people keep reading it, people keep asking, and then you can see a serious decline in business because of, it could be somebody influential, then that's when you might want to consider taking more serious steps lah.
Wow, kan tu kita selalu dengar tu defamation lah. Rupanya sebelum tu ada lagi satu step korang tak buat.
Betul. Orang selalu nak cepat ni boleh sue lah, ni boleh
ni
sue.
aku suka korang tahu. So tadi kita nanti kita boleh bagi apa tadi, the first step is
the pre-action protocol.
So apa demand tadi we saying?
Letter of demand.
Okay, saya tunggu letter of demand nanti.
It's also known as a cease and desist letter. CEASE. Yes.
So that letter kita nak kena engage a lawyer dulu ke, ataupun we can
Usually people do engage a lawyer lah for this.
for that lah okay.
Engage lawyer amat.
Okay.
Kalau kau engage aku
dah ada kat depan kita ni. Tak pergi
betul.
jauh-jauh.
Jadi kita terus akan pergi ke Shehzadee Law Corporation.
Yes. Okay, Syez, I want to ask you okay, ni ada soalan lah yang kita kumpulkan. In your experience, dia kata, apa satu legal mistake yang selalu business owner buat yang later on boleh bawa jadi masalah besar? You have any?
Legal mistakes. not documenting things properly. Not documenting. And what do I mean by that? In terms of contracts, agreements. It can be internal agreements between partners. It can be agreements, contracts like employment contracts. It can be contracts of services. Macam you engage freelancers, right? And then it can be externally with third parties like macam vendors, suppliers, clients, customers. You don't properly have proper contracts, and then when a dispute happens, then suddenly everybody starts scrambling already. So this is something that it would be good for you to preempt from the beginning. Like, okay, when I want to start a business, and I foresee that this is the kind of service I would want to provide. So, you might want to consider, the business owner might want to consider sitting down, getting a proper contract done. So, you avoid anything in the future.
Okay, let's go to the sensitive part sikit about macam kita dengar gini when you said macam okay, we should do a contract first kalau kita nak hire orang gini and all those things kan. Tapi I think for macam businesses yang kecil kan, for them all this is costing lah. Okay, so you can give a range tak macam to let's say for yourself lah, to hire a lawyer to do all this back end untuk macam a company nak hire, let's say then vendor, nanti ada contractor nak bagi contract and all this. So all this you provide all these services juga kan?
Yes, we do. We do the drafting.
So do you do a package for this and one lump sum gitu package, or is it an a la carte package, or how does it work between the vendors and your company, please?
Okay. Firstly, I have to say that under the rules, I cannot talk about fees.
Okay, then it's okay. I mean, let's say kalau tak nak fees, we talk about packages lah.
But what I can say is that our firm, we do act for companies on a retainer basis. That means companies is macam as though we are their go-to lawyer lah. So any legal things they give to us, or case by case lah. And then if there are many agreements that any company require us to look at, definitely we will see. We will, because in wanting to draft any agreement, also we also need to speak to the client and understand the business as well, right? So macam to be fair, it won't be. We will factor in the fact that we have taken instructions one time. We already understand the background one time already. So that will be something that we will consider lah when quoting our fees.
Okay, let me put on the like committee punya question. Okay, let's say they want to draft a contract or they want to draft an agreement. Why do I need a lawyer when I can get it a template from Google? I mean, like, let's be direct lah. ChatGPT and so on.
By the way, ChatGPT banyak salah I've ever seen before.
Jangan marah saya cuma tanyakan orang.
Kan korang pergi delete.
Tapi this is a very on the ground question kan.
It's true, it's wrong. Like sometimes I also I also just see lah. I want to see how different it is.
Yeah.
And then I will for ChatGPT macam they can correct the answer, right? So I will marah back. I was like, no, you're wrong. Why are you telling me? This is the law. Then my apologies. Yeah, you are right.
Kira best kan macam ada pad lah, macam kau ada pad lah.
But the format, everything, is it also salah juga lah from the AI ke,
Okay, my take on AI for legal services is that it's helpful, but you need to know what to put in. You see, the thing is, if you don't know, you don't. Okay, so for example, as a lawyer, I know, okay, it's important to have a dispute resolution clause, right?
Okay.
But if you put in your own input, you may not know, because you do not possess the legal knowledge, right? You may not know what to ask ChatGPT and how to draft it for you. So ChatGPT is as good as what you put in. And what you put in is based on the knowledge that you have lah.
Betul juga.
Jadi jangan pandai-pandai lah Betul-betul. Kalau aku pun mental lah nak buka company kan, jadi aku nak kena tanya ni semua.
Tak semua orang boleh jadi lawyer kan.
Betul Mat. Yes, correct.
Jadi soalan benda gini tu, jadi korang nak kena tahu in details lah. So Shehz is here. So company dia is dekat Beach Road. So malam ni kita tanya lagi lah lebih-lebih banyak soalan yang korang dah bagi kita ni. Dah banyak. So nanti kita akan tanyakan lagi. But for now, Shehz, kita go relax dulu. Kita tengok macam more to lawyer punya life lah. Kita nak tahu. Okay? Wow. Pasal kita tengok selalu korang tengok full style glamour. Masuk court, Your Honor. Dengan
betul.
court kan.
Object.
Tapi you know, it's a stressful job of course kan. And for yourself, dah 11 tahun kan.
Yeah.
Ups and down mesti dah ada. But what keep you going on doing this thing lah? Kira what makes you go on to become a lawyer lah? Dia macam sekarang ni dah 11 tahun ni masih bertahan.
Yeah. Actually, that's a question I ask myself a lot. You know, why am I still in this profession? And there are a few reasons. One is that I think my conviction to become a lawyer became more when I had my own child, because I realized that how I am is how what she watches, right? And I want her to be someone who can be of value to the community. Not to say non-lawyers are not, definitely, but that's the skill set and the knowledge that I possess and what I can do for the community. And when I set up my own law firm, I realized that there's a shift in my thinking. I mean, previously I've always been passionate about lawyering, but somehow it's different when you have your own law firm. You have a bit more bandwidth, and then I start thinking of how my contributions affect me as a person. So for example, macam when I was an employee, when I do things like inheritance matters and all that, I buat will, wasiat, all. It was just, I mean, as an employee, you do the work because you are doing it. Of course, you care about your clients, but it's also for your employer, correct?
Betul?
But somehow when I run my own firm, I start thinking about it as in a way that's bigger than myself. So for example, like macam, I think about, okay, I'm doing this inheritance to get the court order. I'm doing this, I'm actually helping a family, whether Muslim or non-Muslim family, and especially a Muslim family, you know, I'm helping them settle their family member yang dah pass away, the debts.
Okay.
This is something that, you know, when you center it around your own personal beliefs and conviction, your religion, it keeps you going somehow.
Wow.
Yelah kan, macam benda ni kira kan it's already macam dah sebati dengan kita. Habis macam kita ni, you know, when doing these things dah 11 years, nanti kita akan tertanya-tanya kan, macam benda kita dah buat ni selama ni, apa yang aku buat ni? Lepas tu something maybe
how
like
is
something
it of
happen.
value kan?
Yes.
So even like for wasiat, for wills, when I advise, especially my Muslim clients, I will ask them, I will say, you know, depending on your means, you are entitled to give a certain percentage away to non-faraid beneficiaries, you know, up to 1/3. Would you want to consider giving a certain percentage to masjid or what? I try and remind them, because I mean, for my Muslim clients lah, right?
Yes.
And then I will ask them also, okay, do you want to include a clause in the event that I don't get to fulfill my Hajj? Is there somebody who can do it on my behalf? You know, so I try to not make it simply a financial planning instrument, but more of something that is more holistic, which is, by the way, what wasiats are supposed to be.
Betul?
But people always think wasiat is just like, to do with dollars and cents. It's not just that lah.
Kan, dah stereotype about it
Yeah, I think cik macam benda ni dah macam tadi Shehzadee cakap kan. So it's more of macam input dia, macam kita dah connected dengan orang tu, bukan dengan kerja pun tau. You know, you're connected to the person you are dealing with. Macam sampai kadang-kadang hati kita ni terasa terpaut juga, dia punya kesian ke, and then maybe macam pakcik ni tak tahu ke, you know. So it's best to tell him macam, cik yang ini actually wanted ni boleh je donate kat masjid kalau nak, you know. So all these things I think most, aku tak nak cakap sembarang lah, tapi aku rasa kalau kita ni, kalau if I'm a, you know, just okay, ini yang benda yang betul-betul law kena cakap buat gini, awak nak tak nak terpulang berawak pasal ni hak awak, you know, sama like that. Yeah. So I think for yourself, I think you already have that feeling untuk menolong, and then the masyarakat, kadang-kadang kita tak tahu apa-apa, and you are of kira lawyer ni, you belajar pun tinggi and you know what you're doing. Jadi kita ni macam masyarakat ni cik, banyak benda yang kita tak tahu tau on the ground. So I think it's best macam people like yourself, lawyer-lawyer kat luar kan, terangkan kita lebih detail and lebih lagi macam laid back, you know. Lagi-lagi dengan orang-orang tua yang berusia, yang tak tahu apa-apa. I think it's a nice touch
and to add on to that point as to what keeps me going, actually I realize how much I learn interacting with people. It really opens up your eyes to like really, really different because I do quite a fair bit of community law. Community law is macam criminal law, family law also, right? So you meet people and you really listen to different life stories. You explore different situations. You understand about a lot of things. Like I get to learn about things like different mental disorders, different mental illnesses, different different backgrounds and all. And I think that has changed and shaped me in the way I think as well.
Nice.
So I think that's very valuable to me. I won't trade that for.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cik kan
Yes.
kita jarang dengar lawyer cakap benda ni.
Betul. I think it's quite expanding on this
Yeah,
part lah.
correct.
Okay. Tadi Acik dah cakap Acik nak buka company. Tapi kan Acik ada satu concern lagi satu
Okay.
Maklum lah kan, kita bukannya jarang lawyer
asal
kan.
partner kau tipu kau duit
Bukan.
Okay, silakan.
Aku cuma curious je Mat.
Okay,
Okay, this one could trigger people. Tapi I want to ask about tadi you kata on about Sharia divorce. Alright. Okay. Maaf kata selalunya biasa kadang Acik dengar family members yang pernah lalui Diorang especially yang perempuan Okay, kau prepare, kau pergi ketuk rabak-rabak, habiskan fight rabak-rabak. Itu normal kan? Okay. Tapi as a man, I need to know what protection do I have? Okay, for example kalau macam example can men also ada tak certain thing yang dia tak perlu bayar, or there is anything that can cause something that mungkin tak payah bayar,
Pasal dia dekat dengan women's chartered lah, this law kan. Jadi certain things macam kita tahu kita tak boleh buat apa-apa lagi in terms of Singapore punya stand lah kan. Tapi macam kalau untuk lelaki ni kadang-kadang I think kita rasa macam buat apa lagi aku nak pakai lawyer, pasal pihak perempuan dah pakai lawyer, mesti aku habis punya kena pasal of women's charter, some people have this mindset.
First of all it's a misconception. Women's charter is not only meant for women. Actually,
okay.
I did a recent actually my first informal TikTok video recently, and one of the things we posted, you should watch the video, is I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. Of course, women's charter. Yeah. So people always think, I think sometimes people tend to raise that men are being prejudiced when it comes to divorce, whether in the family court or in the Sharia court, they say, men are being disadvantaged. To answer your question earlier about the ketuk rabak-rabak, you see, at the end of the day, anybody can claim anything they want. Okay? It's just whether you get it or not. So even if I want to sue somebody for, I don't know, let's say I order food delivery, right? Let's say I have a huge craving and then a person cancel my order.
Boleh
I'm so angry.
Wow.
Maybe I craving. Maybe I pregnant. Okay. Angry. I want to sue the person. I mean, anybody can say that they want to sue, they want to make a certain claim. At the end of the day, is whether you have grounds to get what you want, right? And for those who say, I'm going to claim against a spouse, rabak-rabak and all that, yeah, they can say what they want lah, and they can claim what they want. But at the end of the day, will they get it? Because the court has, there are factors, there are considerations which the court look at, including the means of parties. Okay, the means of the husband. Of course, if the husband is, he's self-inflicting in the sense that he sengaja tak kerja, then sorry, no money. That is not. I mean, that's something the court will also consider. Like, you cannot just use that as an excuse. But the court will also look at like the husband, right? Look at what assets the husband owns. So even if the wife, like, let's say she says that, I want to claim $20 muta'ah per day of marriage, and the husband is earning, say, $3,000. I mean, unlikely can get that lah, right? Because muta'ah is the amount that you have to compensate the wife, and is calculated per day of marriage for the duration of marriage, right?
Betul.
Yeah, if let's say you are earning only like, you are earning a modest income, definitely she can say what she wants, but the court will not award it lah, unlikely to award it. So, and then to your next question about the women's charter and all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really not true. There's protection afforded protection. I mean, afforded to both ways. Like it goes both ways also. So like in terms of why it seems that the men lose out more is in Sharia court, men have to pay nafkah ida and muta'ah. Okay, nafkah ida is the amount that they have to pay for 3 months after during the ida period. That means after divorce. And muta'ah is the amount you pay to compensate lah. To compensate the wife for the duration of the marriage, right? But then in terms of asset splitting, the court will also look at contributions of both parties as well. Like if the husband has been paying more, definitely that will be a relevant factor as well. Not to say that is the sole determining factor, because then what will happen to stay-at-home mothers, right? Stay-at-home mothers also, the court will take into account, if you are stay-at-home mother, there will be a percentage awarded to you as well. Right? So
Okay lah, itu mindset lah kan.
Itulah aku tak tahu mana datang ni.
Whatever it is, there need to be proof, there need to be grounds lah kan. Macam in terms of splitting of assets kat rumah, I mean laki dia kerja apa, even the wife kerja apa, itu semua aku rasa kita tak perlu tahu. Kita bila part gini dah terjadi kan, aku rasa the simplest thing is shares kan ada.
Betul.
I mean when it comes to, and it seems that it may favor wives more when it comes to children, because generally, I mean, the evidence is that the wives are the primary caregiver of the children. But it doesn't mean there's no law that says, mother over father. No. It's just that the court doesn't favor mother or father. The court favors the child. What's in the interest of the child. And I do see some fathers, not always, they are really, really very good. I do represent both husbands and wives. I do see that fathers who are really good and they get care and control of the children as well. But there are fathers who they know, I mean, like, don't berbual macam champion lah. You never ever change diaper and all suddenly you want care and control of the children. You know, just to spite the wife. Why? You are you really capable? You have never lifted a finger to change diaper to. Do you know how many, I don't know, packets of wet wipes there are left? You don't know anything. And then suddenly you say you want to take care of all, 4 children? So you have to be realistic also, because at the end of the day, something that divorcing parties need to remember is that at the end of the day, they are divorced from each other, not from the children.
Yes, itu dia. Because coming back to this, I think lawyer pun main peranan in terms of when meeting clients. Based on experience and all that lah. Sometimes bila kita jumpa lawyer ni, kadang-kadang jangan tengok macam ni case cerai is just another case. I'm not saying all, but some. As you go macam dah 11 tahun ni, you feel connected to your client more, kan?
Yes.
Yang tadi you cakap, I think that's when dia akan main peranan dekat seseorang tu yang hire you or need your help or take your services in terms of these touches. Pasal lawyer banyak, client pun banyak, we can pick and choose. And that is why I think peranan besar is when lawyers tu connected dengan client tu in a manner yang lagi close, lagi personal.
I mean, I always tell my clients, before they become clients, because we do offer consultation services first, right? And I always tell them, in fact, almost never during consultation will I tell the client, the inquirer, I will say that, okay, you engage me now for divorce. Almost never, unless it's really, really a case where I see they really need to take urgent steps to commence the divorce proceedings for some reason. But if not, I will always tell them, okay, these are your options. This is your step. You can go back and think about it. Think about it, because I don't want to be responsible for you are in an emotional state right now when you are coming to me. I don't want to be the one responsible for making you go through a divorce at your vulnerable state. Okay. So I will advise, but I will say go. And some of them come back, some of them they text me and they say they reconcile with their spouse, or some of them don't update me, but that's fine. At the end of the day is at least I know that I have given you some knowledge. Whatever you do with that knowledge, that's up to you. But if you come back after that and you say, okay, actually I do want to proceed, then okay, then I will represent you to the best of my abilities.
Nice.
Okay, I got
Sila.
satu. Ni mungkin
Ni kira free consultation tau ni.
soalan.
We do offer free consults. Our consult
Okay
are
guys.
free.
Okay tadi. Okay, silakan Cik.
Ini mungkin berpihak pada lelaki Okay, sorry to say lah. Cik nak tahu pasal kita lelaki ni semua kadang hentam kelomo. Okay lah, itulah kan, kita tak boleh buat apa-apa.
Sebelah hati lah kan.
Tapi I just want to know. Okay, for example, kalau maybe dekat Syariah Court punya level ke apa what if a husband dia yang jadi mangsa of emotional, verbal or physical abuse of dia punya wife. Okay, so any protection tak? Means like, can the husband apply PPO if there is such kira ada that condition lah yang dia kena abuse mentally, emotional or physical?
Okay, first of all, for any family violence matter, it's not at Sharia court. You apply for a person protection order at the family justice courts.
Family, okay.
Okay, so that's one. Secondly, actually I find it funny that you seem to think that men do not apply for PPOs. Men do. I have clients who apply for PPOs against the wife, whether on behalf of themselves only or on behalf of their children also.
Okay,
have,
yes, itu ada.
right?
Yep.
So I mean, it goes both ways lah. It's not to say that women don't commit violence at all. It does happen, but at the end of the day, for you to get a PPO, you need to prove lah that the abuse has happened, whether or not in the form of threats, in the form of verbal abuse, physical abuse, and when it comes to just to add on that, I think one thing that I have also seen is that you are right in that sometimes the men they do agree to having a person protection order being ordered against them. Okay, so when let me just walk you through the process. So when, example, the wife applies for PPO against the husband, right? The husband has to come to court and inform the court whether they agree to the PPO being against them or whether they want to fight it out, right? I do see some men, they agree to the PPO because they tak kuasa lah. Okay lah, whatever lah. Even though they didn't do it. Then later they come to me and they say, actually, I never do, but I just agree. Why you agree if you never do? No lah, I don't want to fight. I tired. That kind of things, right? Yeah, so that does happen. But also, I mean, there is a provision in the rules which actually provide that it doesn't mean that there's a PPO against you means it's forever. You can actually make an application to court to get the PPO revoked. Okay, the person protection order revoked. I've also done that as well. So like, for example, like some time has lapsed or there's no more, the issue of violence is no more already. Then you can go to court, and if there are grounds, if you can satisfy the court that there is no longer a necessity for the PPO, then you can have it revoked. So those who have PPOs against them, it's not forever lah. You can also take steps, but not many people are aware of these too. That you can actually revoke.
Dia boleh revoke juga, tapi dia jangan pula during that duration dia pergi jumpa lagi, dia langgar lagi PPO tu pun nanti lagi panjang lagi kena kan. So a lot of things yang kita kena take note lah in terms of, itu yang kita cakap, kita punya kehidupan ni lain orang lain-lain. Jadi so for Shez, dia boleh cater to your needs lah in terms of whatever you need in terms of law lah. Macam tadi starting kita berbual pasal business, that's one thing you do kan. And then kita berbual pasal apa lagi Cik tadi? Business besar, business kecil, employment. Terus kita pergi dekat divorce case kan.
Correct.
Ini semua benda yang selalu sering terjadi dekat negeri kita. Tapi kita ni orang biasa, kita tak tahu sangat benda ni. So this episode kita bawakan Shez untuk terangkan lebih lanjut tentang what we can do further lah. Bukannya macam kalau kita berbual lah Shez, when we get a lawyer's letter je kita takut ni apa ni. Kadang-kadang kita tak tahu dalam tu ada jeng-jeng, kita dapat duit wasiat pun kita tak tahu.
Betul juga. Apa-apa kira it's not the end of the world lah kira. There is always a way, but you need to find out lah kan. Nak kena datang dekat lawyer ni lah kan.
Yes, okay Cik. Kalau kita nak jumpa lawyer, kita nak kena jumpa lawyer siapa?
Kita kena pergi jumpa Shehzadee Law Corporation.
Yeah. So you do dispute resolution, you do criminal defense, Sharia law, family law, insolvency law,
insolvency like bankruptcy.
Okay, itu bankruptcy
and insolvency.
Probate and inheritance. Ini adalah
Probate inheritance tu, okay, so misal kata somebody pass away so if they pass away, usually if there's some assets left, as long as it's there's some criteria, but it typically includes above $50,000. If there's above $50,000, you have to actually get a court order. Sama ada the court order is called a grant of probate or grant of letters of administration, depends on whether you left a will before passing away. If you left a will, dia punya process to get the court order lagi laju lah. Tapi kalau you made no will prior to passing away, then your family member need to get this court order. With this court order, baru you can go and, for example, let's say the mother left an HDB flat, then you can go to HDB and start the selling process. If not, you go to HDB and you say, oh, I'm the son. So what? Where's the court order? You need the court order. Okay.
Wow, itu dia yang mana selalu kita tengok kat TV3 kan. Ini bukan TV3 guys. Kalau kita tak tahu nak buat apa-apa, silalah cari lawyer anda.
Aku pun baru tahu ni, Mat.
Yes, tadi baru.
Yeah, so don't anyhow withdraw money from mother's bank account or I know I anyhow distribute according to Farah 8. Cannot. You actually need to get a court order. You cannot just because when the person passes away, it deems that the person is no longer alive lah. So everything stops.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, and for there to be any distribution, you need to get authority to step into the deceased person's shoes. Right? And where does the authority come from? Typically from the court lah. You cannot self-appoint yourself. I'm the son. I'm the what?
Wow.
Jangan sembarang guys.
Kita ingat benda ni remeh. Tapi actually there is a very deep kira dia punya steps which orang biasa macam aku cakap orang lain lah. Aku cakap aku aku tak tahu sampai.
Aku pun tak tahu.
Yeah, inheritance, and you would be surprised. Like I've represented like, for example, you have somebody who got married in Singapore and then get married overseas, right? And then a family overseas start claiming.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, so when you apply for the court order and all, you need to declare who are all the beneficiaries as well, right? You cannot seek to exclude this one second wife. I don't want.
Tak boleh pakcik.
Jadi aku rasa kan sebelum apa-apalah, sebelum ajal sampai, siapa yang kena buat patut tu tolonglah dia senangkan sikit lah.
Do your wasiat, your will, that's important. The next one is do your lasting power of attorney. Lasting power of attorney tu is a document where you authorize somebody to take care of your affairs if you lose mental capacity, whether dementia ke koma ke. So for example, let's say I make an LPA and I authorize you to take care of, to help to withdraw monies from my bank account to pay for my medical expenses in the event I got dementia, right? So that helps. So for example, like you have if you don't make the LPA, let's say makcik tak buat LPA, and then makcik ada dementia, have to go for medical and all that, you cannot withdraw the money sesuka hati, what? Right?
Correct, betul.
The family members cannot, what? Right? So if let's say the son has been authorized through this lasting power of attorney, then senang lah. Now withdraw money from the bank also, you want to go to the bank, you just say, okay, I'm the appointed.
Correct.
I'm the appointed person.
Wow.
And I'm withdrawing on behalf. Then that will also help lah in terms of like medical expenses and all that.
Betul, most muda
pasal benda apa yang Syez terangkan ni kan, dia akan jadi satu problem tu guys, kat kita punya community is nanti adik-beradik gaduh pasal asal kau draw duit daripada mak punya duit macam gini, these things. Pasal benda gini, kalau kita dah ada surat tu yang mengatakan bila mak dah lupa ingatan, jadi anaknya ni amat yang nanti akan drawkan mak duit, jadi adik-beradik yang lain
bayarkan,
tak boleh.
bukan untuk diri sendirilah, untuk mak dia lah.
Dia sambung untuk bayarkan obat-obat mak.
Mat, make sure kau bayar mak punya Mat
Yes, kan cik, it's important
Betul.
Kadang-kadang orang tak percaya benda-benda ni. Tak payahlah, kita kan keluarga, tak payahlah buat apa nak bagi lawyer orang luar untuk uruskan. Adik-beradik sudahlah, kau berbual dengan abang kau je. Takkan nanti mak dah lupa korang dua-beradik nak gaduh pasal duit. All these things, kita patut we prevent lah things like this. When there's things like what you said tadi, surat and all that, all this black and white, jadi senang. Jadi nanti at the end of the day tak ada orang yang gaduh-gaduh dalam family. Betul tak cik?
Betul.
So when you do a lasting power of attorney, the process is a lot simpler. It's cheaper as well.
Okay.
As compared to if you, let's say the mother has dementia, right? And then the son needs to withdraw her monies or make any decisions on her behalf pertaining to her property or her health, then there's no lasting power of attorney. You have to go to court, make a court order to get the court to appoint him. That one leceh, mahal. Might as well you prevent and you do it now.
Correct. I think that's much more smoother lah. Okay Mat, aku rasa kan Mat, ini episod podcast ni bukan setakat bukan podcast biasa-biasa Mat, ni bukan kaleng-kaleng. Aku tadi dengar, aku terfikir aku punya hidup macam mana.
Aku macam tadi tengah tengok podcast.
Wow, this is full of information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't too heavy though. I was trying to like really simplify
it. Fun. Tak percaya tanya kamera, betul tak? Ganggu. Yeah, thank you Shaz. Thank you for coming down to the studio, for sharing with us apa tu benda-benda yang tadi you dah share lah pasal law. And untuk kita ni, orang masyarakat kita ni, aku hopefully lepas ni lebih lebih kira orang kata lebih rapat lah dengan lawyer-lawyer kat luar sana tu. Jadi kita tahu untuk planning for the future, untuk anak kita, untuk family kita, untuk keluarga kita So nothing can go wrong at the end of the day lah. Kira pasal nanti pergaduhan ni semua terjadi kerana benda-benda kecil inilah yang tadi Syaz dah terangkan. Surat tak tulis, mak dah nyanyuk, abang draw duit. All these things happen in masyarakat lah.
Jangan make remeh-temeh lah about this. Jangan make remeh about this.
Yes.
I think I think before kita habiskan this and this session of this episode, mungkin Syaz ada anything you want to share with the viewers, kira kata-kata penutup ke?
Yeah, please.
anything.
Anything.
I think as a community, it's important for ourselves to educate ourselves and our children about the law out there. Because law is not something that you cast aside and just go to it when it's important or something, a dispute happens. It's actually part of your daily life. You need to know about it because it really governs your day-to-day life. So keep yourself informed.
Yes, itu dia guys. Episod kali ini macam mana? Korang suka tak suka dengan episod kita? And once again, thank you Shaz for coming down to the studio to share with us. Korang mesti daripada tadi terniang-niang kan, tak berbual dengan orang sebelah pun tengah fikir, aku belum buat tu, aku belum buat ini. Kalau korang suka apa yang korang dengar, silakan korang boleh lungsuri YouTube, dengarkan di Spotify dan cari kami The Bubble Clan Podcast di mana Cik?
Okay, boleh cari di YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, di Facebook, Instagram. Dan satu kat mana? Telegram. Boleh join kita as a clan Telegram. Pasal Telegram ni bagus sebab korang boleh dapat informasi-informasi pasal kita punya new episode ke apa. Amat tengah makan ke, tengah beli sabun ke kan?
Aku kat topeng ke, aku tengah beli lawyer. Aku kat ruang office Syaz, saya tahu gini, tengah sign, tunggu kena saman.
Okay. So yeah, it's a good place for you all to even nak bertanya soalan macam gini yang towards Syaz. These all questions is daripada korang, therefore we bring forward so it becomes meaningful for korang, become valuable for korang also lah.
Yes, and also jangan lupa follow Shehzadee Law dekat Instagram and also TikTok guys. So follow
YouTube
dan jangan lupa kat mana tu? YouTube. Okay, so 3 channels ada di Instagram, TikTok dan juga di YouTube. Dan itu saja daripada kami guys. Selamat malam, kita jumpa lagi di lain kesempatan. Signing off and we are the Bubble Clan.
The information provided in the Bubble Clan podcast is for general informational purposes only. The views and opinions expressed in the Bubble Clan podcast are solely those of the author and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any organization or individual mentioned.